So now let us see in detail about this particular poles of Gujarat. So these poles, actually this pole is a term very unique to Gujarat, and pole is a kind of distinct residential areas, and it is derived from the Sanskrit word poli. So as I said earlier, this pole is like it has an enclosure. Enclosure in the sense it will be having a gateway. Once we enter the gateway, we'll be having a series of cut units arranged one next to each other. So each cut unit they will be having a separate gate, and after entering that gate, we will be entering the dwelling units. So this will be the arrangement. So it is a continuous arrangement of dwelling units or the cut units, we can say. So to understand it in a better way, so now we are standing inside one particular cut unit. So if you consider this as a cut unit, and this is like a gate to enter this particular cut unit, and in front of this gate or in front of this door, there will be a street running, and this street will be having a number of cut units like this particular one. So this, if we enter this particular cut unit, we'll be having a number of dwellings like next to each other, and they will be having a common sharing wall like this. So this will be somewhat initial stages. They will be ground floor, and they have extended up to first floor like that. So depending upon that particular area, and depending upon their exposure and travel, everything contributed towards their development till the up to this current scenario. So this is one picture, and next again you can see the number of dwellings next to each other. So all these are like current scenario pictures or current time pictures. So there will be a lot of additions, subtractions to that existing time. So here we can see this timber column or pilaster like projections. So in initial dwelling units, it was like pilasters only, and later in the later that time constructed buildings, they have gone for the complete timber framing. So again, you can see that timber lining. So in between, they will be having that timber lining here. Again, another picture showing that particular area. So we can see how elaborately they have gone for the wooden detailing. So very much intricate detailing they have done. So next to this settlement pattern, as for we seen about how the settlement pattern is all about. Next we are entering into the planning of the dwelling units. So this planning, again we can split into two, like how the rural setup and how the urban setup. So if we take the North Gujarat rural houses, initially it's like a very small single chamber like design. So you will be having a open veranda space, and from the open veranda you can access the single chamber. And here actually this particular community people, Gujarat, in Gujarat, so women's safety, security, privacy is very much important for them. So for that particular reason, what they have gone in the single chamber itself, how they have shown is like um, this particular pots or the storage vessels, if you consider, this will be like very much big, and this will act as a screen for this particular area. So here this is a common space or the private space, and this is like a semi-public, and this is like a complete public space. So the women's area will be this particular zone. So they will be completely private, and one cannot easily see this area. So that's how they have designed. And in the very first primitive unit, the ventilation will be like only this gap. So this along this gap, they will be having the ventilation. Initially there were no windows or any small projections like that, or small cutouts like that. So the total lighting ventilation will be dependent on only this particular door opening. So after that, slowly as the family got increases and other considerations, they what they have started is they have started giving some small window openings on the rear side, and they have started introduced a small loft kind of structure, because as the family increases they need obviously some storage spaces. So for that they have introduced the loft, and here they used to have this temporary ladder like provisions to access that particular space. So this is the second stage of development, and this further led to very defined or very confined type of development. Like now they have started segregating the spaces or defining the spaces, we can say. So they had a very clear veranda space, and they call it as outlaw. And from there they will be having this semi-public. So usually the men folk will be accessing the space, so the men folk will be using the space fully, and even if a visitor come into the house, they will be using the space only. So they will come, use the space, and they will leave. So this ordo is the third space. So this will be like a complete private space for this particular dwelling, so no one can enter, and this woman, only the woman will be using the space. So all through these evolution, the kitchen will be like combined with this backspace, because they consider that as exclusively for the women. So for that particular case, the kitchen will be only at the rear side or the back side of the building. So till all these three evolution, we can see kitchen at the rear space. So kitchen, dining, sleeping, everything will be in this space only. So now what they have given is like they have started developing the first floor. So depending upon the requirements of their community or the population, so they started developing the first floor, and again we can see some temporary ladder like thing to access this first floor space. And above the veranda also they will be having a private space. So this is the evolution of the rural type of dwelling. So next we are coming into the urban type. So how this urban type of dwelling unit. So at the last we saw this three refined spaces. So now this particular first type of the first stage of the urban unit is like a somewhat a blown up picture, or somewhat a blown up scale, blown up in scale. So again the workflow remains the same. So this will be like a veranda space, and next they started introducing a space called Katki room. So what is the purpose of this particular room is like first they started treating their guest in this particular space, and again to maintain the privacy of the women who is at the very rear. So this space will be occupied by the women community. So again the kitchen existed in the same space here, so this will be the ordo. And there is a common veranda for the women community. Common veranda in the sense, so if they are using this as a kitchen, um, and for sleeping purposes, so to spend their time in the daytime they can use the space, or to take some rest like that they can use the space. So here the introduction of this space is called parcel, and in front of the parcel they had this raveshi. So again this is like a rear veranda. So now this zone we can delineate for the women community, and this zone we can delineate for the men community, so totally segregated. So this segregation was clearly marked by the introduction of the chauk. Chauk is nothing but the open to sky courtyard. So here the courtyard is their approach towards the courtyard was not due to the climate conditions. So without knowing all these things, they have introduced the courtyard space. So here the courtyard space is just to mark a difference between the women's area and the men's area. So they indirectly have solved both the purpose, both the climatic condition and their privacy issues. It has been solved. So like that. So this is the stage one plan, and from this the next stage will be next stage has been developed. So what happened here is like now there is a introduction of two staircases. Like so one will be in the parcel area and one will be in the Katki area. So once a visitor comes into the house, what they started doing is they started developing a first floor area on the rear and in the front. And what they have gone is like once the visitor come, they can directly access the staircase and go to the first floor. So in the first floor they have started developing a room exclusively for this women, exclusively for this visitors. So whoever the visitor they come, they won't be seeing the rear part, so they will be directly going to the upstairs and they will be using, they can have some meeting like that and they can leave off. So it was designed like that. So later what they did is like about this Katki room in the first floor, they started due to their business developments, they started so for their business purposes they started using this above floor. So now that particular space in the first floor, that particular space is called as Divan Kano. So now what happened in the rear is like in the second stage, this space they started using it for the complete storage area in the ground floor, and for the sleeping purposes they have introduced another staircase here. So from this veranda they will be accessing the staircase, and in the first floor they have given the provisions for the sleeping. So now the kitchen, what they have done in the second stages, they have removed here, and now in the chouk, the space has been extended. So in the chouk, they started introducing the kitchen space. So this will be the kitchen, and next to the kitchen, to have the water supply regular, they will be having the water in this particular chamber, and they name it as Paniyaru and Paniyaru. And next, this will be a kind of a supportive chamber to this. And again, to maintain the privacy, what they have done is like this particular kitchen space they will be accessing along this veranda, and here they will be having a door and they will be accessing this space. So they started introducing some windows along this chouk area. So this will be like a open to sky area completely, and so this will be a open to sky. Here we can compare. And what they have done is like to in case of rainy seasons, to cross this area they have introduced a small flat roof system here. So the front and rear will be having the tapered roof, and in between we'll be having this area, and this area as a flat roof. So a person can just walk inside this and they will approach this area. So this kind of transition happened in the second stage. So this area will be completely dedicated for the women, and this area will be used for both the storage and for some sleeping purposes. And this will be like a buffer space, and from here they will be accessing the kitchen, and along the kitchen some water storage or area has been added, and this area will be completely for the men folk. So this is the second stage of development. So this picture is about that Divan Kano. So it this is like a first floor hall. So what they have gone for is like in the first floor. Initially, it was like the visitors meeting space like that, and later for the business, because these people started having their business related stuffs in their home itself. So some of the businesses they started doing in their home itself. So for the business dealings and all, they had used this space. So one unique feature in this particular Katki room is like this the windows in this particular or the windows which is facing the outside or the street. So this will be like a floor to wall, floor to roof height. So they will be having this full height windows, and up to some level they will be having small projections, small projections in the, like it's like some restrictions so that someone may not fall off. So this also facilitated for the people or the women community to sit from here and to watch what's happening in the below open space or the street, along the street what's happening they can easily watch from here. So again the security or the privacy of that particular women community was maintained here. Later what they started doing is like this particular space they allocated this space for the elders of that their community, because the elder community they want some retired life. So also they don't want to completely detach from the community, so they will be transferred to this particular space, so that from here they can watch whatever happening outside like that. So again it's like the elder will be watching us, so psychologically they might feel like someone is watching, so we have to be in we have to maintain the discipline like that. So some kind of psychology was there in behind. So again we can see some photographs of the, so we can see somehow the veranda space. So from the veranda space we will be having a door, and from there we can enter the. So this is like again you can see the wooden detailing here, and this particular window again we can see in this picture. So we can fully full width of wooden beams like that it's running, and again it's intricately carved. Here we can see that window from the floor to the ceiling or the roof beam. up to that they will be having this large windows, so which will bring more light into the space, and also to have that visual connectivity they did this. So later what they did is like they will extend another floor. So